Hello everyone and welcome to Eurofever Garage. I'm your host Donovan, and today we'll be doing an oil change on my 2014 BMW 4 Series. Come along with me on this short guide as I show you how to do an oil change on the N20/N26 engine, what oils I use, what oils BMW recommend, some tools that you'll need, and some tips and tricks I've learned along the way. The great thing about an oil change is that you can pretty much do it anywhere with the most basic set of hand tools. In order to do an oil change, you're obviously going to need some oil and an oil filter and the tools that I have laid out here. A ratchet with some sockets to take out the drain plug, an oil filter removal tool, a floor jack, some jack stands, some shop towels, a couple flashlights, a small pry tool to take off the rubber rings around your oil filter, and a tub to drain your oil into. Alright, so before you begin this job, first thing you're going to want to do is drive your car around to warm up the oil. This will make sure that all the oil is heated up and will come out smoothly when you open up the drain plug. So step one, after releasing the hood latch release, you're going to open your hood and find your oil filter cap. And you'll need a basic ratchet and any sort of oil filter cap removal. Alright, so once you've got your tools, basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to take your cap removal tool and you're going to place it on your oil filter, and then obviously set your ratchet to loosen. Alright, so now that it's hand tight, I can loosen it with my hand. I'm going to grab some shop towels and make sure that I don't spill any oil here. And I've already spilled some oil, but that's okay. Alright, so now that we have the oil filter out, we're going to jack up the car. There's a central jacking point directly in front of where the oil drain plug is. Here I get my floor jack and line it up with that center jacking point and raise it up slowly, ensuring that it's on the center jacking point. Once you're sure that your jack is on the center point, continue jacking the car up until you're able to put your stands underneath. As you can see here, I go back and forth multiple times to ensure that the stands are going to be in the right place when I lower the car down. Once I'm sure the stands are in the right position, I'll slowly lower the jack until they make contact to ensure that they are in the right positions. Once I've confirmed this, I'll lower the car further until all the weight is off of the jack, and remove the jack and put it to the side. Alright, so now that the car is jacked up, we're going to actually do the oil draining. So what I have for my car is a 17mm socket on my 3/8 ratchet. I have a metal drain plug since I have an xdrive car, so it is a 17mm for that. For the rear-wheel drive cars, it is a hex on a plastic drain that needs to be replaced. I also have some paper towels, and I'm going to put some butcher paper underneath to make sure if any spillage happens, that it'll land on the paper. Alright, so now that the butcher paper and the container is underneath, I'm going to switch to disposable gloves and grab my flashlight so that I can see things better. Alright, well, as you can see, you can't win them all. I still spilled some oil, but that's just the way things go, so we're going to move on. While that's still draining, we're going to be changing out the filter and the crush washer on the drain plug. For the N20 and N26 xdrives, you're going to want to use this filter. Now the way you can tell that it's for the xdrive is because it'll have this copper washer in here rather than the plastic drain plug. Alright, so first, we're going to take out the old one. Place it out over here on another towel. Now what I have here are some tweezers and a very, very small flathead. So there's going to be two rubber rings. There's going to be one here and a smaller one up here. So what you're going to want to do very carefully, because it is plastic, is you're going to want to feed it underneath here. And you're going to run it around as you're taking it out. just like that. Place that to the side, and you're gonna do the same with the bigger one. Now this one's a little bit looser, so you can do it with your finger. Now we're gonna take our new oil, we're gonna open it up. Now what I'm gonna do is use the tweezers to dip it in oil, because you always wanna dip a lot of these mating surfaces in oil so that they're nice and lubed up. I'm gonna do the same with the other one. What I'm gonna do for this one is just dip one side and then ring it around. So now that this side has oil on it, I'm gonna run it around like this and then place it on the cap. And once it's on, I'm gonna run it down, all the way down to the bottom, into a little groove. Now, as you can see earlier, I do have some oil in here, so I'm gonna pour it out on my paper towel. And I'm gonna use another paper towel to dry out the rest. Now we're gonna take our new filter, and I like to put the numbers up. Totally preference, doesn't really matter. Try not to touch the actual filter, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the cap, let it slide over. You can kind of push it from the top, and you can push down while turning right, and it'll sort of lock into place. So now it's in there. Okay, so now that we've got everything out, what we're gonna do now is clean out the oil that's left in there. Now there's a couple ways you can do this, and the main way is to use a oil removal tool where it basically sucks it out. Now I don't have that with me, so I'm just gonna use some paper towels, and also be careful to not get anything inside the actual oil itself. This is just strictly cleaning up the excess oil. Now as you can see, it does still make a mess, so I am gonna wipe it down, but if you do have it, you can use a little bit of brake cleaner on a paper towel, wipe it down. And just like that, not a perfect job, but it does, it does the job. Most of the oil is out. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna pour a little bit of oil in here to prep the filter and make sure that it's nice and lubed up. It allows the filter to go without being run dry, because it's never good to let anything run dry in these engines. Oh, you know what? Drain plug's not in. Okay, so as you can tell, I almost made a very amateur mistake. I did make a very amateur mistake in not putting the drain plug back in. Once you see that the oil has slowed down to a very small trickle, that's when you're gonna wanna put the new drain plug with the new crush washer in. Just snug it up nice and tight. There is an exact torque measurement, which I will have linked down, but there's no need to go farther than what is already tight. As long as you don't see a leak, you'll run the engine. If there's no leaks, you'll be good. Check it after about a day or two, and if there's still no leak, then you're good. So again, we're gonna pour a little bit more oil in here, just make sure that it's nice and primed for when the filter goes in. So now that that's primed, we're gonna plug in the new filter. We're gonna do this hand tight first, make sure that nothing binds. And you're gonna wanna be watching for that rubber ring to make sure that it doesn't start to bind. All right, so now we're at hand tight basically. So I'm gonna give it a couple nice twists, and that should be good. So now I'm gonna just clean it up a little bit, and now we're gonna pour the oil. All right, so like I mentioned, on the N20 and N26, you're looking for about 5 quarts of oil. This is your this is your fill plug right here. Just for reference, this is where we just were with the oil filter. So oil fill, oil filter. One other thing you can get if you really need it is like an oil fill cone. I typically use them for other jobs, so I don't like to use it with oil so that it gets in. If you have a dedicated one strictly for oil, that's good. Otherwise, you can just pour it in. Just be careful not to spill any. So we're gonna start really nice and low and slow first. So unfortunately, my gimbal completely missed my awesome oil fill. I didn't spill any of it. Just, you'll have to take my word for it. But you're gonna pour all of it in here. This is obviously your oil fill. This is your oil filter. Just be sure not to spill any, because if you do, you have a big mess to clean up. Once all your oil's in there, check your cap. Make sure you don't have a blown head gasket by looking for any of that milkshake. You're going to reinsert your oil fill cap, clean around it, and you are good to go. Alright, so in order to reset the engine oil interval on your car, what you're going to want to do is get in the car and put it in ignition mode. Wait for the service next due to disappear, and you're going to hold the trip odometer until it pulls up this menu. Pressing the button again until you find engine oil, hold it down again until it says reset. Once this comes up, hold reset. Sometimes it will have a reset unsuccessful, so try it again, and if it's still not successful, turn off the car and try it again. If it's still not successful, you can try using a scanner tool like Link and go into there and reset it through the app. To check and make sure that everything is good, go into your iDrive and go to Vehicle Info, Vehicle Status, and then Service Required. Once in the Service Required menu, go down to Engine Oil, and it should tell you roughly when the next time your engine oil is due. And just like that, in about 30 minutes, you can get this done just as fast. Once you start doing your own oil changes, it's really easy, and you're able to look inside your oil, see if there's anything wrong with your engine, look through your filter, and it's a great way to learn more about your car and what the health of your engine is like. Now, once you're done with this, I suggest you take your oil to any of your local fluid recycle centers, but just be sure that you recycle it in a environmentally safe way. Getting rid of it in the trash is not good, nor is pouring it down a drain, so please take it to your local recycler. Be sure to stay tuned as more guides come out on other platforms that we like to work on. These will be coming out on a typically weekly to bi-weekly basis. If you have any other platforms you'd like us to explore or have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. Other than that, this is Euro Fever Garage, and I'm your host, Donovan. Thank you for watching.